Come see us in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Ohio, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Belfast, London, and a lot more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for the cheapest tickets.
Here's the new announcement from the Department of Homeland Security. DHS to begin screening aliens' social media activity for anti-Semitism. Today, U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, USCIS, will begin considering aliens' anti-Semitic activity on social media and the physical harassment of Jewish individuals as grounds for denying immigration benefit requests. This will immediately affect aliens applying for lawful permanent resident status, foreign students, and aliens affiliated with educational institutions linked to anti-Semitic activity. So guess what? If you want to apply now to be a permanent resident in the U.S., you want to have a green card, you want to study here, the government's going to look at your social media to make sure that you're not criticizing Israel. That's what they mean by anti-Semitism. Under this guidance, continuing with the announcement, USCIS will consider social media content that indicates an alien endorsing, espousing, promoting, or supporting anti-Semitic terrorism, anti-Semitic terrorist organizations, or other anti-Semitic activity as a negative factor in any USCIS discretionary analysis when adjudicating immigration benefit requests. This guidance is effective immediately. So notice how they say this isn't just about supporting terrorism or terrorist organizations. This is about other anti-Semitic activity. And we know how the Trump administration and the Biden administration before it defined anti-Semitism, criticizing Israel. And that's what they'll now be policing immigrant applicants' social media for, to see if they've criticized Israel and deciding whether you can come into the country.
So this is the Trump administration's version of Black Lives Matter. And, as MAGA was upset that, you racialize everything and everybody's a victim. And this is their own version of it. So they didn't get rid of it. They just switched it to an even smaller group of people, Zionists. And that's what this is all. Again, this is not America first. This is Israel first. And I guess Trump doesn't have to worry about it because he's not running for re-election. But they'll, and the problem is the Democrats are for it too. That's the problem. There is no opposition to this. And the people who gave the slightest of pushbacks to it, AIPAC primaries them and gets them out of there. Well, it's the exact opposite of what people voted for.
Here's more from the DHS. There is no room in the U.S. for the rest of the world's terrorist sympathizers, and we're under no obligation to admit them or let them stay here. Anyone who thinks they can come to America and hide behind the First Amendment to advocate for anti-Semitic violence and terrorism, think again. You are not welcome here. What they're saying is, you can be racist if you want to. You can advocate violence against Palestinians, as so many supporters of Israel do. But if you criticize Israel, you cannot hide behind the First Amendment. And someone who opposes this is Nico Perino. He's with the group called FIRE, which is a conservative organization, but they've actually been consistent, unlike many others, when it comes to free speech. And he says, everyone should be concerned when the government starts defining anti-Semitism and terrorism as broadly as it has been these past 3 months. And yes, the First Amendment is what you hide behind to defend against censorship and oppression. It was designed for that purpose. So that's somebody being consistent. Here's more from FIRE, the FIRE org. The Department of Homeland Security announced it is formalizing the censorship practices it has engaged in for the past 3 months by surveilling visa and green card holders and targeting them based on nothing more than their protected expression. The Trump administration trades America's commitment to free and open discourse for fear and silence. Unfortunately, that chill appears to be the administration's aim. That's exactly right. So after nabbing students off the street, putting them in gulags and trying to deport them for criticizing Israel, now the Trump administration says this will extend to anybody applying for an immigration status in the U.S. They're going to have their social media monitored. And all the Israel supporters including from foreign countries who come in, who advocate violence against Palestinians, who advocate mass murder, they're fine. It's only people who are critical of Israel. And this sort of came up in a recent debate that was held between Glenn Greenwald, who again is a consistent champion of free speech. He criticized the censorship, whether it's carried out by Democrats or Republicans, and Megyn Kelly, who is a conservative-leaning host. And they discussed this issue in the context of the Trump administration's attempt to deport Columbia student Mahmoud Khalil.
Okay, well, there's nothing unreasonable about saying being the spokesperson for an on-campus terror group means you violated your terms of staying here and your green card is getting revoked.
I think you're wildly mischaracterizing the point of this protest. I remember, very well in 2002, people who were opposed to the U.S. invasion of Iraq were told, oh, they were Saddam Hussein supporters, and they would say, no, we're not Saddam Hussein supporters. We just don't think the U.S. should invade Iraq. Same thing now. If you don't support financing Ukraine, you're told, oh, you're a Putin supporter. And you say, no, I'm not a Putin supporter. I just don't want the U.S. involved in this war.
That's a straw man.
These protests were about Megyn, because these protests were against
no one who was out on the streets
in Gaza. They were not defending Hamas.
They were demanding that Colombia divest. They were demanding that Colombia.
Exactly, but that's not a Hamas. That doesn't mean that you. No, the anti-Israel protesters modeled themselves after the student movements in the 1980s that were against the apartheid regime, the main demand of which was, we demand that you divest from apartheid South Africa. Okay. That's what these students are demanding, that we demand. That is a peaceful protest, not a violent one.
The American students cannot be deported for having done that, but someone here on a green card can be.
Yeah, so I don't even think, by the way, I guess Glenn Greenwald's on his way to a St. Valentine's Massacre reenactment. And does he not dress like a gangster? But anyway, Megyn Kelly, I don't know much about her, but there's no way she believes what she's even saying. There's no way she can be a lover of the Constitution, a lover of free speech, or any of that stuff, and then completely misrepresent it's exactly what Glenn pointed out to her. You're wildly mischaracterizing what that was. And I don't know what, she's not a politician, so I don't know what she gets out of it. She doesn't have an AIPAC handler, or maybe she does. I don't know. But there's no way. She's a very intelligent woman that she believes what she's saying there. There's just, I can't believe that she believes what she's saying. And I don't know what she gets out of it, but same thing with Trump. They know better, and they are turning on their own principles. So a principle of free speech isn't a prize that you give to people you like. It isn't a prize we give to citizens. Free speech is a value that we defend at all costs, and we try to spread around the world to everyone, everywhere.
And it's a very popular value, which is why Republicans did so well in part in the elections, because they could accurately say the Democrats were suppressing free speech. There's so many examples of it. But now they're squandering that, or at least they're abandoning the principle for what? For Israel. And in a much more extreme way than Biden did when in his censorship. I don't recall Biden monitoring immigrant social media accounts and deciding whether they can come into the country or not based on their social media. So, and also trying to deport people for saying the wrong thing. So Trump is taking it to a new extreme. And again, Glenn Greenwald, who called out the censorship regime under Democrats, here he is now. After years of conservative grievances about Biden's DHS monitoring social media to eliminate and punish dissent, Trump's DHS now doing the same to see who should be deported or denied visas. But don't worry, virulent anti-Black racism, arguing Muslims should be killed, LGBTs put into camps are fine. You just can't express anti-Semitism, i.e. criticisms of Israel, which is often equated with being pro-Hamas.
And now, Aaron, you're a Jew. Would you say, they like to say that anti-Semitism is on the rise? And if it is on the rise, wouldn't you think it's things like this that actually increase people's anti-Semitism?
To the extent it's on the rise, and again, I'm not even sure about that, but it is, then it comes from a self-proclaimed Jewish state carrying out mass murder with complete impunity, people seeing every day these images of slaughtered children, and then also in the U.S., getting the government to censor people and deport them if they are critical of all these atrocities that Israel is carrying out, while also meanwhile crying victim all the time, saying we don't feel safe on campuses, which makes them the ultimate snowflakes, not the liberals that they often mock. So to the extent there's a rise in anti-Semitism, then it comes from that. But again, I think it's so silly to complain about anti-Semitism when Jews are among, especially North American Jews, are among the most privileged people in the world. It's so embarrassing. It is. It's I can say that easily because I'm Jewish, but it's just I've even before all this, like before October 7th, I always thought it was dumb because we're such a privileged group of people, and I'm thankful for that.
Do you feel safe in New York City? Do you feel safe though in New York City?
Yeah,
come on.
Imagine that, huh?
You can't feel safe as a Jew in New York City, can you? You know what? It's also funny that things that would be considered a compliment to other ethnicities are considered an insult and anti-Semitic, and they need to be deported for. Like if I'm Irish, right? If someone said, the Irish control the media and the banks, I'd be like, yeah, we're doing very well.
Yeah.
We worked hard, and we're smart, and we're doing very well. Thank you for the compliment. But if you say that about the Jewish people, that is a huge. You're not allowed to say that. That is, oh my God, you're a racist. You're an anti-Semite. And by the way, most of the people, the Zionists in Israel aren't Semites. The majority of them. Am I wrong about that? Am I overstating?
No, you're
that?
right. Listen, most of the people who around the world are Jewish. They don't come from historic Palestine. They come from places like Ukraine. In fact, a relative recently did a DNA test, and my family, apparently, its origins are in Ukraine. Okay, like some above 90% Ukraine. That's where most Jews around the world come from. So this idea that we're Semites and we're in our biblical homeland, it's complete fiction. It's historical fiction.
And that's why all the prime ministers of Israel changed their names to sound
correct,
to sound less European, because
and why there's a very high rate of skin cancer inside Israel is because that white skin can't handle that Middle Eastern sun. And it's this paranoid narcissism where we're like, we're the chosen people, we're special. But yet if you say that there's a disproportionate amount of Jews in positions of power, then you're anti-Semitic. But while we're going around calling themselves special and chosen people, all this. So listen, it's a huge problem, and Israel is at the heart of it. And certainly now the government is saying, we're going to deport you and not let you in if you criticize Israel. It's only going to increase to whatever extent anti-Semitism is out there. It's only going to increase as a result.
Well, I think that they are the chosen people. I don't know what you think, but they're definitely a master race.
Are you saying that because you want to get maybe like a new show? Like are you looking for like a bigger show? Like are you looking for a TV deal?
No, it's lots of people have made the comparison to that the Jews were a victim of the Holocaust, and now that they're implementing a version of that they've now morphed into the thing that gave them victim status. They've now become the monster, and I think claiming that you're a chosen people sounds very similar to what the people who oppressed them used to say about themselves.
It's very supremacist. It's very supremacist. That's why Israel's a Jewish supremacist state, and unfortunately, it has a lot of allies in very powerful positions inside the U.S. And that's why they're now trying to crack down and censor people for criticizing all that.
So the guy, I forget his name, but he's the head of Palantir, and
Alex Karp,
yeah. So he said this at some kind of symposium on the videotape. I showed it at one of my Rumble Time shows, that he said it's imperative to stop these college protests, because if we lose this, we've lost our ability to do war for the rest of all time. So this is imperative. We have to stop this. And it's all about narrative control. That's the same thing that when the Democrats and the big pharma was censoring over COVID, it was because they could. If they lose the narrative, they've lost the game. And the same thing here. The military-industrial complex, the Zionists, they cannot lose the narrative. And if they do, and so that's what all this censorship is. That's what all this putting a chill into the air of anybody. But it actually backfires, and it's actually creating more dissent. It's creating more outrage over this kind of thing. And hopefully it really does backfire in a big way. But this right now they're winning, right? So they have suppressed the college protests. They've done that. And I don't understand how anybody in good conscience, why you would even want to go to school at Columbia University. Why the fuck if you're smart enough to get in there, wouldn't you be smart enough to get the fuck out of there? Because they don't give a shit about you. And they don't give a shit about any of the values they claim to give a shit. And they certainly don't give a shit about a robust debate or you having free speech. Why the fuck would you want to go to school at Columbia, a shithole college like that? Come see us in Los Angeles, Bakersfield, San Jose, Buffalo, New York, Toledo, Ohio, Montreal, Toronto, Ottawa, Belfast, London, and a lot more. Go to jimmydore.com for a link for the cheapest tickets.